All right, so for the library session, I went to the 3D printing session given by Max Osa on October 17th at 5 o'clock, I believe it was. And a lot of the beginning of the session did repeat what we went over in the class that we had on 3D printing. For a while, I was thinking this is just going to be an hour of repeat of what we did, but there was a lot more. There ended up being a lot more practicality in this session than there was in class. So in class, I think we talked a lot about the theoretical, the how it might be used, and the how it works, that type of thing, which Max did cover a little bit at the beginning, but then he went into a lot more of how to come up with these things and where to find them, and let us kind of let us kind of go around trying to find some stuff. So we brought up this one program called Tinkercad, which is kind of the most basic way of making a 3D printable object, which I thought was really cool, and it was much easier to operate than I ever would have expected. So it's definitely something that I think high school and maybe even some like 7th to 8th graders could work if you wanted to have them build something in a class. But the really cool thing that we actually got to look at that I think was the most helpful thing that I got out of this session was it's called Thingiverse, which is the database of the 3D printable designs. And so with Thingiverse, it was mentioned in class, but we never actually got to look through it. I don't think I really registered how expansive this database is. Um, so the really funny thing was I actually just looked up Virginia Tech in Thingiverse, and one of the first things to pop up was a 3D model of the pylons, which me and Hannah Humphreys and Jamie all went down to the 3D lab and got printed. So they really do have a lot of different things. I was looking up some history-based things as well. There are models of battlefields. There are models of excuse me, there are models of busts and things like that. Anything like that, you would be able to 3D print in a class and use it in a class. So while I think theoretically I was thinking a little bit about that in the class we had on 3D printing, I don't think I really believed that it was applicable until actually seeing all these designs, seeing how simple it is to just type in Roman heads to find some busts of different emperors and things like that. If you're teaching about art and architecture in an ancient Roman class, you could look up and get 3D printed examples of aqueducts or something like that. That way, they can actually students can actually hold it in their hand and see how it is, how it looks, and how it works. I remember when I was learning about aqueducts, when I was learning about arches, my teacher actually brought in like preschool building blocks and built an arch out of building blocks and showed how the difference in uh, strength between the block that had the Roman style arch and the arch made out of blocks, how the one was much stronger than the other. That's something that you could do even more simply with 3D printing, because you could print one. Excuse me, you print the one rather than building it out of blocks, and you print the other, and then they could see that comparison. Um, and so I think my big takeaway from this is that it is actually practical and applicable. I don't think in class I really believed it, despite everyone saying like, oh yeah, you could do this, this, or this. I don't think I really saw the expanse of the opportunities because I wasn't actually looking at Thingiverse or a way to design your own things. So now actually having been able to see that, to look at what is out there and to look at how easy it is to create something on your own. I think those two have really changed my mind about about how applicable 3D printing is in a social studies class. I'm still not completely sold on it, but I do think there are a lot more ways that you can work it into a classroom than I thought there were a couple weeks ago when we had that class on 3D printing. So those are my thoughts about my library session. Thank you.